Welcome back. Let's continue our discussion with Alan Mikolaj. It's time to focus on something that Mr. Allen is so educated in, is well studied, a lot of experience, and that is purpose driven leadership. And I'd like to ask, how do you define purpose driven leadership and why is it essential in today's business world?
Well, from our earlier conversation, Ryan, the idea of being self-aware and beginning to identify what my core values are, what my purpose in life is, how I interact with others, with those uh, core elements of my being, that is the starting point. And I say, let me emphasize, starting point for purpose-driven leadership. And one of the one of the things that really, I guess a lot of people don't understand then is once I've got that, is how do I leverage that then? And that's where you take it to the next level. How do I communicate it? How do I use my purpose? How do I use my core values in my leadership? But that's not all there is. There's also then a team level and an organizational level. And so to fully master purpose, meaning, and purpose, both for yourself and others, that's what purpose-driven leadership is. It's that tapping into and leveraging my own personal meaning and purpose, my constituents and stakeholders and direct reports, meaning and purpose, and organizational, and maybe even sometimes beyond the organization. And so, in a nutshell, that would be the condensed definition for the way I see purpose-driven leadership.
I think you packaged that really well, actually. It's funny because my first true introduction to your understanding of purpose driven leadership was while I was writing my chapter for the change. And your influence definitely poured out on the page for me. And it helped me strengthen my three principles of success. And number one, the most important one, in my opinion, is purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose for me is your reason why. Why do you get out of bed? Why do you do what you do? What's the point of you doing anything at all? You've got to have that purpose, that why. And like you said, you've got to understand it for yourself before it can even bleed over into anyone else or to even be utilized for others. And I think that's another part of this topic I really want to dive into. And that's how can purpose driven leadership improve team performance and morale? What
Yeah, that,
impact does that leader have with that purpose driven leadership?
and that's such a great question, and it ties back also to our earlier conversation on self-awareness. So, um, if you remember, I mentioned there was a second study, and I'll try to keep that brief so that we don't dwell too much on self-awareness, but it ties very directly to what your question is. And so, uh, uh, study out of Australia a couple of years after Tasha's study came out, and very similarly, they also discovered two types of self-awareness, but they were looking at it through the rubric of authentic leadership, because authentic leadership is a big buzzword in leadership development and practice right now. But they were also looking at what the academics call leader endorsement. And so leader endorsement to us would be, do people want to follow me? Do people want to work for me? Do the people who are on my team now want to stay, or are they trying, are they thinking about bugging out the door? And so they were trying, and so they found that, very similar to the original study, that personal self-awareness was one, and that was almost mapped exactly to what Tasha's study was. But then they had a second type called collective self-awareness, and it was quite a bit different from what Tasha and her colleagues found. And that was that the leader has an awareness of their organization's values and mission, their strategy, and at a team level, and sort of a history of who we are, our culture, and how do I fit into that as the leader. And so that ties in exactly to your question then about how do I leverage purpose-driven leadership and inspire those that are on my team and around me. And it's exactly what you're talking about, that it or what we were talking about just a second ago, that starts right here with me, elevates to my team, and then to the organization.
I think there's something that is easily overlooked in this, and that's the value of the discipline and effort put into yourself and how that shows outward. Our previous guest, Mr. Nick Baker, he brought up a good point, leading by example. And when I think of purpose driven leadership, I don't think you can truly lead by example if you don't have a true sense and understanding of purpose. And I think that is where a lot of that impact to your team and the people around you lies. And that's when you have true conviction in something, you're more likely to express it in big ways and to live it and to show it and to move with confidence. And I think that movement with confidence because of purpose is a good way to introduce what that is to others and to build your team's confidence. And not only that, but the trust in you as a leader. So, something really important that I think would complement this topic is what are the key differences between managing and leading with purpose?
Well, it's a it's funny you asked that question because I used to do an exercise, an opening exercise with leaders, and we'd have them go look up the root origins of the word manage and the word lead. And when you go back and look at the origins of the word manage, it goes to the Latin manus, or hand. And so the Greeks used that term for horse handling, managing. So you're not, you're managing that horse. Where lead, and that's where my company gets its name, is the root origin is an Old English word called laden, which is to be a journey guide or to be on a journey with someone. And so you can see right away that just from the root origins of the word manage and lead, what that is. And so when I think when no matter what level you're at an organization, but especially for people closer to the front line, your team leads, your supervisors, your managers and directors, when you begin the hard work, and you're right, Ryan, it can be for most people, it can be difficult to block that time and to make to go through the effort of identifying what my core values are, why God put me here on this earth, why am I a leader, or why am I a manager. But when they do that, they begin to elevate themselves beyond just being a manager. They and when we begin to lead with purpose and authenticity, then we inspire others. We boost engagement, we boost productivity, we boost our own engagement, and that even further elevates other people's engagement. So you get in this positive feedback loop with your team. And so when leaders at any level begin to practice and leverage purpose-driven leadership, it just impacts a whole host of outcome metrics. I call it the foundational or cornerstone leadership competency. You can go take a course on crucial conversations or difficult conversations, but if you're not rooted, like you said, in integrity and in authenticity, and who you show up consistently day after day with meaning and purpose and guidance and inspiration, um, that crucial conversation is going to be even more difficult to have without it. But when you have that, and especially if you have shared team values and a shared team mission to lean on, you now have tools to help you move that conversation in much more powerful ways than you ever would before.
I really love how you separated managing and leading, especially all the way from the root of the word. I find that really powerful, and it gives a little bit more understanding into how that really applies. And there's always an image that stays in my brain of the difference of leading and managing. Old image of a boss sitting on a desk with a team pulling him. That's the manager. The leader's the guy in the front of that line, pulling the rope first, helping everyone else find the way. And I love this conversation, and I love what you have to give. And I think the audience is going to want to really kind of reach out to you and learn more of your perspective. So, what is the best way to find you?
Real quick, before, I just want to share, you manage things, you lead people.
That's powerful.
Manage budgets, manage schedules, but you lead people. You're on a journey. You're a journey guide. But best way for people to get a hold of me is at my website, www.alanmikolaj, AlanMikolaj.com. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out, connect, DM me. I'd love to start a conversation.
That was really powerful. I truly appreciate your time, and I always learn something from you, whether it be something super obvious or something I have to go back and write about, read about, educate myself, and just truly understand, because I never know what gold you're going to drop and how it's going to help one of my clients later. So this was a fantastic discussion, and we started with the problem when leadership falls short. Businesses and teams suffer. Thanks to our guests, we uncovered valuable insights on financial leadership, purpose-driven leadership, and the steps leaders can take to level up, whether it's improving financial discipline or understanding personal leadership styles. Today's takeaways can help you become the leader you were meant to be. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ryan Herpin, and I hope today's discussion has provided you with valuable insights to help you level up your leadership. And remember, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking charge of those, taking care of those in your charge. Keep striving, keep growing, and we'll see you next time on The Bottom Line.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.